Hey guys, welcome back to my solo progression series. Today we'll be talking about leveling up to level 140 and some of the steps that I will be taking to get started on gearing up for CRA. So this episode will be split up into two parts mainly. The first part will be me getting to level 120, and then from 120 onwards up to 140 I'll be doing various things to get myself ready to get some of the gear I'll be using until the end of the game. So let's start off with the training to get to 120 first. From where we left off, I was just underneath level 90, and I trained up to level 95 at Desert of Serenity. I think a lot of people would stay here even up to level 100, but if you guys have watched any of the previous episodes, I'm not too big on staying in the same place for too long. So to change things up a little bit, I decided to do the Elven Forest theme dungeon at level 95, and I stayed there until I finished the questline. Just for fun. You don't really need to do it. The rewards aren't too exciting. I mean, it gives you a ring, which is nice, but the ring is pretty average. For this particular video, it just happens that when I was recording the video, the daily gift was the wild totem. So if you do see me use a wild totem, it wasn't one that I got from the cash shop, it was actually the one that I got from the daily gift. So I pretty much stayed at the Elven Forest until I finished the theme dungeon. Along the way, I hit a few milestones. I hit level 100 during the theme dungeon. So you can see here on screen, I'm actually doing my 4th job advancement. The 4th job advancement skills will be pretty handy for us to clear Zakum at level 101. I tend to do it at level 101 instead of level 100, just so then the damage reduction isn't too steep to do enough damage to clear him quickly. Because Zakum is still pretty dangerous as a boss in the earlier levels. You really don't want to lose your EXP buffs. While I was doing my 4th job advancement, I bought a hyper teleport rock. I had enough money to buy the 7-day one, and I recommend you buy one as soon as you can. Once you hit around the level 100 onwards, you'll be able to sustain buying a hyper teleport rock every week, and it greatly increases your efficiency in the game, and yeah, it's a really good item to buy. You buy it in the cash shop, and I recommend buying the 7-day one if you play regularly. If you don't play regularly, then you can adjust and buy whichever one suits your needs. Once I hit level 101, I did a pretty common tactic to get a lot of levels, which is to activate a field rune. If you guys aren't familiar, it's those runes that spawn in the maps that give you double EXP for a short bit of time. And once you activate it, you will queue for normal Zakum, and you'll be able to kill Zakum at a level 101 on double EXP. Now the goal is to just kill as many arms as you can before you die, because if you do die in Zakum, you will lose the EXP buff. But if you don't die by the hands, you'll be able to get a nice amount of levels. You can see, for me, I got 6 levels. I went straight to 107 just by killing the arms and Zakum himself. So yeah, highly recommend doing Zakum with the double EXP rune whenever you can. You're allowed to do him once a day, so pretty much whenever you log in, you can just find a rune and then kill Zakum for a nice amount of EXP. Killing Zakum also gives you 3 other items that are really useful. The first one is the little power crystal that he drops. Basically, you sell that to the collector NPC in the free market, and you'll get a nice amount of money from that. So it's going to be one of our few ways of getting income at the beginning of the game. And the other things that he drops include his face and eye accessory. Now they are one of the best eye and face accessories we can use in the early game, and even on to past CRA you will be using this because they complete a boss set which gives us a nice damage boost. So if you do get an eye and face accessory, make sure you hold on to them. Once I completed Elven Forest, I was about level 109, and I decided to train up a few levels at a map called Sky Nest 2. It is a Star Force field, so make sure you have some Star Force on your equipments, otherwise you will die really quickly here, and it'll be pretty sad to die just because you didn't know that they had Star Force, so do take care and Star Force a few equips. Doesn't really matter which ones you Star Force because it'll be pretty cheap. You only need 5 Star Force for this map, and I think I stayed here until level 111. Afterwards, I went to train at the Master Robos at Toy Factory Process 2 Zone 4. I think the popular map is called Apparatus Room, but I found that this map always had 100% burning, which is basically double EXP, so this is my personal favorite training spot, up to a level 120. Once I did hit 120, you can see I made a quick pit stop to the free market just to empty out my inventory and sell my Zakum crystal. And from here, we'll be going into the second part of this episode, which is talking about the early game gearing that I'm going to be doing. So in this particular video, I'm going to be talking about 4 of the first items that I'm going to be aiming for, which includes the Emblem, the Secondary, and the 2 Zakum accessories. And while I'm talking about these various things, you will see in the background the quest that I was doing to get my emblem. Unfortunately for the explorers, we'll have to go through a kind of a long and tedious quest line to get the emblem. So yeah, enjoy that while that's going in the background. So I talked about the Zachem accessories a little bit earlier. They are the Iron Face accessories that you can get as boss drops from Zachem. And basically, you want to try to do Zachem every single day, so then you can get the both of them. There are two things to keep in mind when going for these boss accessories, and I'll be using my main as an example here. So you can see if you highlight over the boss accessories, you can see there are many items that you can wear, and if you wear a certain number of different ones, you will get extra bonuses. So the boss set is an easy damage boost for almost any character. The second thing to keep in mind is something called flames, or bonus stats. You can see here for my items, there are these little yellow-greenish numbers on the side of the stats, and those are the flames. So the nice thing about Zachem's 2 drops is that they have a chance of getting really nice extra stats for the equip. Ideally, you'll want to keep doing Zachem until you get something that gives you 50 of your main stats worth. So you can see my one gives me 51, and I was happy to keep that. To calculate whether or not the stats add up to 50 or more, you simply have to add the number provided on your main stat, add that with your magic or weapon attack times 4, and add that with the all stats percentage times 8. If we use my main's cape as an example, we can calculate the flame score based off of this. My main stat is strength, so to start off it will have 65, add with the attack power, which is 4x4, and then add that with the all stats, which is 4x8. So the total will be 65 plus 16 plus 32, which is 113, which is great for an Absolab cape, but like I said, for the Zachem equips, you'll only really be aiming for a flame score around 50. So as I mentioned before, the next item that we'll be talking about is the emblem. So for most classes, you should be able to get your level 100 emblem pretty much as soon as you finish your 4th job. But depending on the class, you may have to do some quest lines like I am doing in the background here to get the emblem. So the great thing about the emblem is that the level 100 one that you receive from the quest will never be replaced. So once you start upgrading it and cubing it, you don't have to worry about replacing it. So all the money that you put into the emblem will be money well spent. Make sure that you do use the gold emblem and not the silver emblem, because the silver emblem is the level 60 one. The reason why I'm putting a lot of emphasis on this emblem is because it's one of the few equips that can get something called percent attack lines. And I'll talk about this in a later episode when we start cubing our equipment. And for the last part of this episode, I'm going to be talking about the secondary. So for most classes, you can get your secondary from the secondary vendor. With the exception of a few classes, including Kana and Dual Blader, you should be able to just get your secondary from the NPC Neville. He's found in most major towns. Because I'm not too well versed in a lot of the classes, I do recommend you guys looking online to see which is the correct secondary for your class. I had to look around to find that my Paladin will be using a shield for the secondary. So for the video in the background, you will see me killing these specific mobs to get the recipe to make my shield. It also happens that the mobs that I will be killing for my shield is also a decent training area. So the place that I'm actually training in is called Unbalanced Time. So this is not a bad training spot until level 130. You can also train in another spot called Forgotten Passage. It's much more popular, and I believe the XP rates are higher. But do keep in mind that all these places that I'm recommending are also highly Starforced, so make sure you Starforce adequately. Originally, I was just going to stay in Unbalanced Time until I got the shield recipe, and then spend the rest of my time training in Forgotten Passage to get to 130. But as it turns out, my luck isn't very good, and I was here until almost level 135. I over-leveled the place looking for this damn recipe by almost 5 levels. So if you are a warrior main that's planning to use a shield, specifically the Deimos warrior shield, I hope you guys have better luck than me. For the record, it was about 2.5 hours killing mobs on this map. I even used my familiars and re-rolled my inner ability for more drop rate, and I still didn't get it until 2.5 hours in. So that'll be it for this episode. I realized after recording it that I said I was going to do this episode up to level 140, but it took a lot longer to get my secondary recipe than I expected, so sorry guys, I'm going to stop here at 135-ish. So hopefully in the next episode I'll have more things to talk about other than just me doing quest lines and going for this shield recipe. In the upcoming episode we're going to be talking about leveling up to 150 to 160 depending on how we go. These levels can be quite slow, so get ready for the grind actually starting. We're also going to talk about Lionheart Castle, we're going to talk about Familiars, and we're going to talk about Yew Garden. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the series. I really appreciate the support, and have a nice day.